Hey-o. What a win, man. Impromptu little whiskey and wine here. Just gonna jump on. We're going to get going. Still depressed I don't have my wireless headsets. Everybody good out there? What do you say? Heady, feel good. Everybody good on the volume? Everybody good on the volume? We say there, Ronnie Mac. Everybody good? All right, waiting on Moscona to jump on. All right, I just got back from the Maravich Center, went to the postgame, heard, sorry about it, man. Sorry, it's late. There we go, Scone. Hang on, buddy. There we go, add Sconer. So I went to the arena and listened to Rick Barnes, listened to Will Wade, listened to Skylar Mays, Darius Days, and Javonte Smart. What an incredible atmosphere today. LSU able to capitalize with Tremont Waters being out. Nas Reed only scoring 1 point, 0 points in regulation. There's my boy. How are you, sir? Sorry I'm late. Traffic.
Oh, yeah!
Can you hear me?
Hang on. Get set up here, bro.
What's up, dude?
Get that out of there. Hold on. Cancel. Hold on. All right. Try to set that up. That should be framed just about right.
About time y'all give basketball the respect it deserves. I know, man. You're right. I'm going back to the DVR here. How bad did Kentucky beat?
Dude,
Auburn
they were up
finally?
like 30 the last I saw. So, or no, it was 60. It was 68-38 or 68-34 or something. Was last I saw. How was it, bro? In the arena? Give me some scoop here, man.
Bro, it was awesome. So if you want to check out a couple of videos first, let me say that to you, boy.
Say hey, Jordy.
So on my Instagram and my IG CJC225, I uploaded some videos from everything from pregame, endgame to overtime to the celebration afterwards. Scone, there wasn't a seat left in the house, man. I was lucky enough. Jeff Prepera, who is a friend of ours at the station over at DSLD Homes. I just had my press pass. I was going in. He called me and said I got an extra seat courtside right there in his plush seats. So I got a full 360 view of the Maravich Center and of Tennessee. Let me tell you something, brother. Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield are built like NFL players. Those guys are NBA basketball players. But I guess the story's got to be Javonte and Skylar, man. Both of them playing 44 and 45 minutes.
Well, we got to talk about Tremont first and foremost. Like, do you have anything on Tremont?
So there was a lot of buzz before on what was going on with him, and obviously, if you watch I uploaded a Twitter video this morning at 8:00, and I gave the matchup between Bone and between Tremont. So I thought for sure he was going to play. When I got to the arena a little early, the word had started going around. It's okay. Chris Blair announced it in the pregame. That's when everybody started to hear it on the radio show. We heard sickness, we heard flu, but I will tell you that I believe that it is a sickness because of what Will Wade said this morning. And I was speculative too.
I'm listening. I can hear you.
When you scratch him, right, the best player on your team on game day, but he says they went through walkthrough this morning as if he was going to play. And when they left walkthrough, Javonte got the news that he was going to be matched up against Bone. So he also said in his post game when he was up there, Will Wade did, that he probably wasn't 100% the other night versus Florida. That makes sense. So look, he wasn't in the arena. He wasn't on the bench. So I was a little speculative. I was receiving text messages when the announcement was made, like, what's the deal, man? Does he have a flu? He doesn't have the flu. I think he does. I think he's sick. I think he's sick by some of the post-game comments that Javonte said he didn't find out that he was locking up Bone until today. And Will Wade said that they went through their walkthrough this morning and then broke the news to the team. Either way, whatever happened, I know that this team, that number one, Javonte Smart, and number 4, Skylar Mays, took it personal. Like, they took the challenge today against a really talented backcourt for Tennessee. And, man, like Javonte in the second half was a totally different player. He was able to get to the rim at ease. But what Skylar brought in just stabilizing the group and being able to just be in the arena and him just kind of calming everybody down. I mean, there was a stretch there where on the floor it was Emmett Williams, Marshall Graves, Darius Days.
How about Graves
Skylar?
popping
I mean,
a 30?
like, you know, like everybody's looking at him. Hey, man, those were the 7 minutes he gave you. The three's going to stick out. The drive I thought was really good. The left-handed layup that he missed. And then how he helped you on the defensive side.
The best part about it is that nothing in the minutes he was on the floor, you didn't lose anything. The lead didn't swell.
Have
you looked at the box score? Oh, by the way, I was
got it right here.
Drink something from Tennessee, but the only thing from Tennessee I have is like some really shitty George Dickel 10. So I was like, you know what? They beat a top 5 team. I'm breaking out my Weller Antique. This is the single barrel select from Calandra.
Nice.
Actually it's from Dorignax. So I'm going to pour something really, really good for a little afternoon toddy, and I'm going to super duper enjoy this. So cheers.
Boy, grab
Hey, where's your AirPods?
I lost them.
What?
I'm not responsible for having AirPods, bro.
My boy lost his AirPods.
I have the case and I lost the pods on exactly 1 month of ownership. And within that 1 month, I lost
Oh my God. Brutal. Let's see. I'm gonna give some shout outs. Carly Cat, Robert Stack, Ron McDaniel, Nancy Mumford, Christian Keller. What's up, everybody? Ben Clark. We'll get to all y'all's comments too. Dude, I'm looking at the box score post game, and this is just stunning, right? Like, I watched it unfold. I watched LSU win the game, but you look, LSU shot 38% from the field. 38% from the field. 32% from three. They were out-rebounded by Tennessee, 43-37. They only had 8 assists in the ball game. And
Scone, only 5 turnovers in regulation.
There's 2 numbers. It's the turnovers and the turnovers and then the free throws. LSU was 24 of 31 from the free throw line. They fought like at the end of the first half. So like for me, and I don't know how different it was watching on TV as compared to sitting courtside. Jay, like I'm watching the game in the first half, and LSU is penetrating. I mean, they were cheers, buddy. They were getting to the goal, and in the last 4 or 5 minutes of the half, Tennessee goes zone, and LSU just hits a dry spell, man. And it was, and they start settling for just awful 3-pointers, and that's when they went on the dry spell. And then to start the second half, same thing. So they struggle with Tennessee zone, but man, that's when Javante kicked it in, and he started driving to the goal, and he got there. And if he didn't get there, they were drawing fouls and getting to the line, and that was fun to see, man. It was. I'm still not quite sure how that all transpired, man. To shoot as badly as they did, for Nas to have Tremont doesn't play and Nas has 1 point. Played 4 minutes in the first half, and you just beat a top 5 team in the country. Crazy. And
he didn't get that 1 point until overtime.
That's great, and it was irrelevant.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It was a foul shot, and he missed the front end of it. It was incredible in there. I think that the atmosphere stuff and the environment stuff is awesome. Will Wade grabbed the microphone after the game.
What did he say? Because on TV they were interviewing Javante on ESPN while Wade was talking, we can hear what he said.
Stuck the landing. He stuck the landing too. He made it all about Louisiana. You know, this is what Louisianans do. We hang in there. We fight. We were showed some adversity this morning. We fought back. But just like Louisiana does, we stuck around, hung around, and got it at the end. Boot up! And I mean, the place went. No. I mean, I was at the table.
Dude, somebody, Shelby Kelly, just said, I need Scone to start dropping F-bombs. Stat, it's not a real whiskey and wine until that happens. you know our P1s, dude. You know where our P1s are. Oh, man. Dude, all right, here's a hypothetical for you. Okay, wait, hang on. Before I get to that, one more thing I got to say. All right.
Yeah.
I am as pro instant replay as anybody.
Oh my God! Thank you
I
for
am
bringing that up.
You will not find a person that is more pro instant replay than me. I am pro get it right when it matters. But in the final minute, when you actually should have flow and tempo and pace, those jackasses went to the monitor 5 times. And
Stone, and let me tell you this. It was advantage LSU because LSU was gassed and it gave them opportunities to draw up the plays, but it was ridiculous. They were going to the monitor for tenths of a second. Like, that's what they were going to the monitor for.
That went to LSU, but it's bounced inbounds and then out. That like and they got
like, what are we looking at?
Then on the block call on Schofield, he was in the restricted area, and like they were reviewing to see.
Yeah.
What Bob was using on the broadcast.
What were they looking at? Were they going to turn that car over?
No, they were seeing they had so Wischusen says to the ref when he comes over, he goes, "Well, why didn't you just call the foul on Schofield?" He goes, and the ref's like, "Oh, we did." It's like, well, then what are you looking at? It's a foul either way, no matter what's
right.
Foul.
What about Scone? What about the Darius Days flagrant one when it was a block on Schofield in the corner and they get the 2 free throws in the ball? I mean, like, bro, but so he misses both free throws, and as soon as he touched the ball in the first possession, he makes a makeup call on a moving screen, goes the other way, and they get 0 points out of it. I mean, like, what are you doing? How about he calls the carry, but misses the walk? Like,
I don't know.
What was his name?
I don't know.
Bart?
I don't know.
Lennox. We were on him, bro. We were on Bart's ass the entire time.
Dude.
It was amazing. It was amazing. The fact that they beat the refs, they beat the Vols without Nas and without Jamal.
So
incredible.
Man, I think so. You know how I feel. Like, I'll never say you won or lost a game because of refs. But one thing that I'm always consistent on is that they're terrible at their jobs. Like, they're just not good at what they do, and that's.
JV was sitting right next to me. He was like, "What is going on with officials?
They're not
like, what is going on
good
with the officiating
it's just,
in sports?"
You have a bunch of incompetent people that are just not good at what they do. Like, that's the bottom line with officiating. Like, they're just not good.
I'm glad you brought that up, dude, because that is an indictment on the officials. I was telling Bart at a timeout, like, "Yo, Bart, it's got to be embarrassing to keep going to the monitor, man. Like, do your job."
The one that drove me nuts, where I actually tweeted about it. I tweeted something like, "I'm his pro replay guy." There was an out-of-bounds call under the Tennessee basket, and they were reviewing because it went off of Grant Williams. And they were seeing if I can't remember if it was Nas or Emmett was behind him, and they go in review it. I'm like, you are, and Jordy, the ref was literally, I mean, he's standing
unbelievable,
like right in front of the plate. It's like
amazing.
You have at that level, you have got to have the confidence in your call to make a call and roll with it. Just make your call and go.
For as many times as they went to the monitor, they made the argument for computers to call the game. Like, if we keep doing this, like, just put a damn computer out there and let them make the calls. Scone, I thought the foul on Javante at the end of the game was questionable. Like, you got to have some balls to make that call with 0.6 of a second left in the
against the guy that's going to be SEC Player of the Year.
And yes, he is.
And Grant Williams was out of control, man. He plowed into him. I mean, like,
I thought that the Nas flagrant in the opening 2 minutes of the game was the right call. Like, he took him around the neck and shoved him down to the ground.
Excuse me. So, full disclosure, I was at Williamson this morning with Warren Morris and Devin White, by the way.
What's up, Coach? When Devin White walks in the arena, it was nobody even knew the game was
I didn't know he was going there afterwards. So we finished like at 11:02, so the game had just tipped. So we were all leaving Williamson then. So I picked up it was 7. It was like 7-4. LSU shooting free throws made 7-4. That's where I picked up in the ball game. So Nas had apparently already gotten 2 fouls and gone to the bench.
So I think it was like at the right at the 19-minute mark. It was like in the opening minute of the game. Him and Grant Williams get kind of tangled up, and it looks like Grant Williams has his bicep, and Nas just kind of chunks him to the ground. I will tell you this: in watching the Nas-Grant Williams matchup today, Grant Williams manhandled Nas Reed. If you watch where Nas caught the ball, his origin point on offense was 18 feet away from the goal, and he was playing with his back to the basket. I mean, it was obvious that Wade had built the offensive game plan, and he said that in the postgame. And then, in the first 3 minutes of the game, you got to put him on the bench because he's got 2 fouls. He's got 2 quick fouls. He said, but their game plan going in was to feed Nas on the block and let's just run around him. Well, I'm going to tell you, man, they did that. They tried to do that in the second half, but Williams just bodied him up, and that's the difference of a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old. Because you look at their physiques. Like if you were watching Grant Williams in warm up and you saw Nas in warm up and you said, "There's the matchup. Those two are going to get." I mean, you would say, "Okay, Nas might be able to handle it." When they took their warm ups off, that's a 22-year-old man guarding an 18-year-old kid.
It's 6'7", and Nas is 6'10", 250. But you're right. And it's funny. So Wade, I know you were there, so you didn't hear. So Wade in the halftime interview coming out of the locker room said. He goes, yeah. So our plan was to run the offense through Nas today, and he goes to the foul early, so we had to adjust. And then they come out. Do you remember the first play of the second half? The entire offense shifts to the right side of the court, and they go ISO on Nas
Georgia.
on the left low block, and Grant Williams bodied him up, and Nas couldn't finish. I mean,
he can't finish, bro.
He was
shoved him out. He shoved him out of there. I will say this: Nas came up with some big rebounds late in the game. He came up with some big rebounds late in the game, and he manned up. But I would think that Nas would watch today's game. And look, I'm under the impression that Nas is a one-and-done guy.
Don't do it, bro.
I mean, I think he's done.
Okay.
I mean, I think it is done. I think he's leaving. He's leaving. But subconsciously tonight, he's got to lay in his bed and think, those were 2 NBA players I went up against today, in Admiral Schofield and Grant Williams, and they ate my lunch.
Today? So
Coach, he looks like if I am if I'm the Jeremy Pruitt, I'm getting in Schofield's ear. Like, how are you not on a football field?
I mean, but some of those, but you know this from some guys whose games you call too. Some of those guys don't like to get hit. That was the knock on Bridgewater. Was he played at Episcopal? He was a freak show.
Sure.
He just
NFL body just didn't want to get touched.
So he decided he was going to go be a 6'5" 4 instead of Jimmy Graham. It's like, okay, whichever you want to do. But
Antonio Gates.
Schofield got banged a little with the knee, and then Jordan Bone, they said at the start of the second half, they said it was illness, but he was holding his hand, and he wasn't really right either. Dude, how about at the end of regulation when they had a shot to win it, Bone slipped? I mean,
Coach, they walked twice on that possession. On the rebound, when he came down with it, he hits the floor, and you can't call a timeout if there's no possession. If you're rolling around on the floor, first of all, it's a travel. And then he gets back down to the ground, and Bone slips with the ball on the offensive end. I thought that Grant Williams. I thought Grant Williams got a good look.
Okay,
all
right. So that's a good question. All right, and then we'll go to y'all's comments and questions here. All right, did they said on the broadcast that Javonte looked over to Will and was like, on the second, was like, "Do you want me to make it?" Because there's 0.6 left on the clock.
Yes, Will explained that in the post game. He said that in the moment that he thought that Tennessee was going to call a timeout, so he told Javonte just to make it.
But even still, if they call a timeout, that's fine.
They don't get the ball.
You got to inbound under the goal. But Jordan, if they possess it and call a timeout, you're talking and Dickie Veeks, and you can't attempt a shot if there's under 0.3. Like you could tip, but you can't attempt a shot. So you had 0.6, they didn't have time. I mean, the only thing that could beat you is the Laettner play. Is just the length of the floor, and Grant Williams got a good look. I mean, I
He
don't
did
want
get
to.
a
That was the one where I was going, Will. I'm like, what you doing? What you doing, Doc?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna share this on Twitter, by the way. So if you want to fire away with some of the comments and questions people are asking, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's see if I can get back here. All right. Send your questions in here to a little impromptu whiskey and wine, celebrating the big win today, LSU over Tennessee in front of a full capacity. Let me see if I have the attendance here. 13,581 was the tallied attendance today. A hard sellout by LSU officials. Tigers are outscored in the first today, 36-31. In the second half, they outscored Tennessee by 5, 40-35. And in the extra period, the extra 5 minutes, the Tigers get the Vols by 2, 11-9 in the scoring bracket to finish up 82-80 today. No Tremont Waters. Nas Reed only scores 1 point. That comes in overtime, 0 points in regulation. And you get 7 minutes from a walk-on in Marshall Graves, who actually earned Wade Sims' scholarship at the beginning of the season. Speaking of Wade Sims, saw his mother there. She gave me a bracelet for Forever Wade. So shout out to the Sims today. It was great to see Mr. Wayne and Miss Faye over there in the assembly center.
I don't know how they do that, man. But they try to go to every. They try to go to every game, but I don't know how you walk in there, man. I know.
And she's got a smile on her face. Like, she is a strong, strong woman. I mean, I almost wanted to tear up when I saw her, and she gave me the bracelet and said that she was going to be in touch and have some opportunities for us to hand some bracelets out on the air. But she's strong, man. Strong. To be in that arena, I agree with you, just to be there in general. But, like, she's all invested in the game, and you can tell that it's a source of strength for them. So it was cool to be there. All right, so let's see. Shelby Kelly asking, so what needs to happen for LSU to win the SEC outright? So right now there's a tie for the lead with Tennessee, with both teams with 2 losses on the year. Both teams 12-2 now. Tennessee still has to go, or excuse me, Kentucky comes to
the next game's in Knoxville,
right? And LSU has to travel to Gainesville, would be the biggest one left. But like Wade said at the end of the game, Wade made the point. He said, "Look, we get up for the big games." LSU, they play in the big games. They got to come in and play against Texas A&M on Tuesday night and win the games they need. They're supposed to.
One other thing, though, and I know nobody's going to talk about this. No one is talking about it, and everyone's going to laugh. But if you go back and look at LSU at Coleman Coliseum the last 10 years, it has been a house of horrors for LSU. Like, for whatever reason, LSU does not win in Tuscaloosa, in anything, but in basketball. Like, it's been a while, man. Like their record over the last decade is something like 2-8. It's bad. So I'm not just chalking up that Alabama game because for whatever reason that's been one where the series has been tough for LSU there. So just don't sleep on that one, because that's one I think we're gonna have to talk about when it gets because Bama's not having a great year, but Avery's recruited some athletes, and they can give you problems if you sleep on them. Yeah, I mean, they beat Kentucky. They beat Kentucky in the SEC opener this year. Our guy Joe Juba said Hathorn was the ref. Jeffrey Hathorn was the ref.
I mean, this guy. Nick Diaz wanted to know if you can keep Will Wade long term. I saw Joe Oliva, Robert Munson, Matthew Laborde, the entire executive team of LSU athletics on the ground with Wade celebrating that win. Everybody was all hugs and smiles. I got to imagine if they're extending the football coach for 10 wins in the regular season, they have to recognize what's happening with their basketball program. If nothing else, look at the attendance and the intrigue today. I mean, it's yes, I would imagine in the offseason that Wade would have some type of
he's making 2.5, which I think is right there behind. I mean, Calipari's obviously outpacing everybody in the conference, but like he's only about $500,000 behind what Greg Marshall's making at Wichita State. So Wade is making really competitive money, and they'll pay him to make him in the top 10 in the country. Like that, I don't think that's an issue. I think the only question is, does he look, but Jordy, I really think they sold him, and that Eddie Nunez and those guys sold him on come here and do what Billy Donovan did at Florida.
Yeah, that's exactly the model.
Will bought into it. He's having success. They're going to pay him. I think the only way he leaves is if a blue blood comes calling. And, I mean, you're talking about literally just a handful of programs in the country that will qualify. And I think whenever Coach K walks away from Duke, like he's going to handpick a former Duke player as his successor. Bill,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
It's going to be
Bill
Wojo.
Self at Kansas is only 58 years old. He ain't going nowhere. Roy Williams is 68, but it feels like you probably have another half decade or decade on that one. I would think the bigger concern is, does the NBA get starry-eyed like they did with Brad Stevens if Will starts winning at that level, or like they did? Who's the cat at Iowa State that went to the Bulls? I'm having brain lock.
Yes. Fred
Hoiberg.
Fred Hoiberg. Is it Fred Hoiberg?
Yep.
Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg.
Albertsons. I love you. What you doing? You see Jordy? Look at Jordy. Look at Mr. Jordy. Say hi, Mr.
What's
Jordy.
up, Drew boy? You doing okay,
Jordy.
buddy?
Jordy.
Yeah.
All right. Oh.
What's up, Drew boy? How about them
He can't hear
Tigers,
because I
man?
got my earbuds in, my AirPods. But hey.
Go ahead and kick me while I'm down, bro. Rub it in.
Go see Grover Fast. Go see Grover Fast. All right, let's see. Stephen Miller, huge up to Mays. Smart played all but 1 minute of 45 minutes combined for 2 fouls. That's something else too. Oh, I got one. Okay, one more thing on the game. The one thing for me that was exceedingly disappointing, LSU got into the bonus in the first half with 10 minutes and 11 seconds remaining. And after Javante's free throws, they did not get back to the free throw line. That was insanely disappointing because they stopped doing the things that were working for them after Tennessee went to that zone, and then they just started settling. It was almost like they were timid. And, dude, there was one point early in the second half where Skyler was at the top of the key, and it was like he started and stopped like he was going to pull back and shoot, and he almost just said, excuse me, but he almost was like, fuck it, and just went. You know what I mean? It was, and at that moment, it was like, all right, that was kind of that moment. Like, all right, here we go. I ain't scared no more. It was fun, man. The game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second half, the drive lanes were wide open. I mean, that's really what kept him in the game was Javante's ability to get to the rim. I mean, the game, in my opinion, totally changed when they put Lamont Turner on Javante.
Yeah.
I mean, when they put him on Javante, it was just a mismatch that, Smart felt like he could get to the rack all day. And in the second half, he did just that. It was incredible, man. All right, let's see here. A lot of people talking about Darius Days shooting outside today. Wade said it again. It obviously has crawled at him for not playing him more than he did on Wednesday night against Florida. He made up for it today. I thought Days gave him a lot of good minutes. Yeah. The 5 fouls for him were very productive. I thought he handled his rotation, as well as he could have today. The Emmett Williams, Darius Days, Cavell Bigby Williams rotation was probably pretty tough for him to kind of get on top of. But, I thought all 3 guys came in there and battled, and they had tough tasks going up against Williams and Schofield
Blake
all day long.
Linksweiler, what's it going to take for LSU to get a 1 seed? Went out.
Whew. Yeah, went out. Went the conference tournament.
So I actually asked Jerry Palm that question last week, and I said, and that was before they had lost to Florida. I said, where did they go 17-1? He was like, maybe, but they'd still have to beat Tennessee and Kentucky again in the SEC tournament. He's like, because you'll have to beat at least one of those teams twice because there aren't just enough great non-conference wins. Shane O'Callahan said, Matt, what's your take on midweek baseball losses? Dudes are trying to trigger me, bro.
That's not how you get a 1 seed,
Kendrick Talbot. So what seed do you think – he said if they go 3-1 down the stretch, what seed do you think they're looking at?
I think they're locked in at a 3 right now. I think if they continue to play like that and they can 3-1 down the stretch, do well in the tournament in Nashville, I think that LSU has 3 seed written all over them. I think potentially they could maybe get to a 2 if they won the conference tournament. Maybe lost the regular season game down the stretch here. You lose at Florida, you lose another one close, and then you get to the conference tournament championship game. Maybe you have a chance at a 2 seed. If you win it, I think you definitely are.
I agree, and I would tell you the other thing to keep in mind. Like you're right, but it's not just at this point. What can LSU do? There's other teams ahead of you that would have to regress. Yeah, so it's not just about improving your resume so much that you start playing leapfrog, but other teams sometimes teams ahead of like in football with polls, teams got to lose for you to move up. It's kind of that sort of thing as well. So
Yeah.
And if you're talking about a 3 seed, you're talking about in that, that 8 to 12 to 15 range. So where are you? Are you at the top of that range or the bottom of that range? And how do you bump up into the 2s? It's, you're talking about really rarefied air right there. But for me, I don't know how you feel about it, man. All I want is if you avoid 7, 8, 9, 10, then you're not going to play a 1 or 2 seed in the second round. So the chances of you moving, like you're going to be the higher seed, the chances of you moving on to the regional round to go to the Sweet 16, they just increase exponentially. So if you're a 3, a 4, a 5, I don't care. Just don't be like the 09 team that won the SEC. You beat Butler, and then you got to face the team that wins the whole damn tournament. You know what I mean? So when they lost to North Carolina, just avoid that in the round of 32.
I will say, and we always say this when we lead up to the March selection committee or the March selection show, it's a television show. I mean, they need ratings. They have advertisers. They're outselling. I think LSU has a little bit of a draw to them. Not to say that they're must-watch television in college basketball. I only think that, Zion Williamson is. But I think that LSU has a little bit of a draw as far as just being an athletic, fun team to watch. I mean, Dick Vitale has called 2 of their games in the last week and a half. And I think that college basketball fans are becoming a little bit more familiar with the brand, with the team down the stretch here. So I think, look, man, not that it's a differentiating opinion between a 2 and a 3 seed, but I do think that it means something in that room, whether or not somebody's a television draw or not.
I think it's when you're talking about that, it's more name brand because remember, you're going to draw casual fans in for the tournament, especially the betting public. But I do agree, that LSU beating Kentucky and Tennessee was massive for this reason. When LSU beat Ole Miss and they got back in the polls, people were incensed around here that they were only 25. The reality is pollsters in Spokane aren't watching an SEC network game between Ole Miss and unranked LSU on a Tuesday night. Like you and I. Yeah.
Shit, Scone. Pollsters in the Northeast. In Boston and New York,
and Alabama weren't watching that game. Like it didn't matter. It mattered a lot to us. Ole Miss was ranked at the time. It was a big deal. Like the Kentucky game was massive because it was Super Tuesday. It was Dick Vitale. It was Rupp Arena, and you won that game. And then the way you won it got you so much run on SportsCenter. And then this game was massive because you followed Game Day. So everybody that loves college basketball was watching College Game Day, and then went straight from there to, oh crap, sold out PMAC, Dickie V, LSU, Tennessee, which was and people were intrigued, right? So those 2 games matter more than anything else LSU's done all year as far as perception. Because of who you played, when you played, and the fact that you brought eyeballs outside of your fan base and the SportsCenter watchers,
Yeah, for sure. And I love how they've capitalized on their national television moments.
Yeah,
right?
You're right.
Playing on Super Tuesday in Rupp Arena, playing at 11 o'clock in the morning on a big Saturday college basketball day that's kind of bookend by the LSU-Tennessee matchup this morning, Duke-Syracuse tonight. I just think, they've done a great job of taking advantage of their opportunities, not only in beating the teams that are in front of them, but, when they have national exposure, you can latch on to them. I'm watching the game now. I got back home and just turned my DVR on and looking at some of the shots from the crowd today, Scone, and, where this program has come, right? Just a little bit here before we get out of here because I got to
everybody hit the share button, by the way. Hit
just
the share. I forgot. Everybody.
Absolutely. Like and share, comment, tell everybody about it. We're going to do this again as this LSU basketball team comes down the stretch, and we are figuring out ways to do whiskey and wine during baseball season. It is being discussed within our office, so we will continue to bring this platform
feedback
to you, the listener who
give
makes
us,
it
Give
to
us
you.
feedback
Absolutely,
on what
please.
y'all want, how, especially basketball and for baseball season. Tell us what you want, when you want it, how often, all that sort of stuff. And please always hit the share. Please, please, please. That's the one thing you can do for us. Like, we'll do this. We'll have fun. The one thing you can do for us is hit the share button. That's all we have. Okay, back to you. You're watching the game.
And I'm not going to pimp this, but I will tell you, if you are an advertiser,
Pimp
if you're in
it!
business, this
Pimp
is a great
it!
place to promote your
Pimp
place.
it hard!
Absolutely. Ask our boys Joe Juba. Ask our boys over at the Register Bar and Grill, the Aesthetic Medicine Clinic. All of them. It all comes. You go straight to your Facebook. But where this program has come, Scone, in the last 2 years, I'm looking at some of these shots right now in the student section. I was in there today. it just, I don't know if when Will Wade was addressing the student union when he got the job that day, if we could have anticipated this quickly, right?
Yeah.
It feeling like you and I are kids again. Like I gave the story Friday, and I tell it all the time. When you and I were kids, when we were, young adolescents, this was a basketball town. Like nobody even cared about it. Football was in the graveyard. I mean, like nobody even cared about. They didn't have any players. It was Shaq, Chris Jackson, Vernell Singleton, Stanley Roberts, Jamie Brandon, Maurice Williams. All these guys, man.
Caesar.
Like, it feels like you're like Clarence Caesar, man. Now I see Jordan, my little, my son who's 8, and all of his little. But they talk about Marlon Taylor, Tremont Waters, and Nas. Like I talked about Wayne Sims and Vernell Singleton and Clarence Caesar and Shaq and those guys. So. That's what's taking place in the arena, and it was awesome. I hated the fans today. I'm calling them out on the student section today on suck that dick and fuck you ref. That's a terrible look. When you get on national television, you have the place packed. You've got kids sitting in that arena, and I know that this is going to go on deaf ears, and I'm going to sound like the old guy.
Let them have their
terrible
fun.
Look.
Let them have their fun,
dick.
you old curmudgeon.
It was bad in there. You know what I mean? If you had Drew in there,
I didn't hear it
like,
for what it's worth on TV. I couldn't tell.
So, yeah. But it was a fantastic atmosphere, man. It was unbelievable, and just for Will Wade to have addressed the student union and the basketball fans over a year and a half ago, just over 2 years ago, to where they are now. I mean, like they are a national program that is relevant in the sport. I think from here on out. I mean, as long as he's here,
I think he's a year ahead. I would have thought year one would have been a disaster. I thought year one for Wade was going to be what Tom Crean is going through right now. I thought year two, he could have made the NIT. In year three, we could have started talking about the NCAA tournament. But to having made the NIT last year with guys like, Randy Onwasser and Jeremy Combs. I mean, and then you fast forward to now, you bring in a top 5 class, and you lead with 5 conference games to play, you lead the SEC. Bro, I mean, what else you want?
With wins on the road at Kentucky and at home versus
it's
Tennessee.
Awesome.
Like, bro, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad you peer pressured me into doing this when I was sitting in traffic. This worked out. I've got to jump in the shower there, bro.
Enjoy your night. I'm gonna
enjoy it.
I'm gonna stay at my home.
Boot up.
Watch baseball on digital stream and eat dinner and drink more whiskey. Later, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. See y'all.